Hello and welcome to Knife Delights. It's time for another Way Back Wednesday. This is an open tag started by the man, the legend, the connoisseur of cutlery, Warthog. Hey Warthog, thank you so much for this open tag. This video is kind of dedicated to you. Now, a couple weeks ago on, I think it was Way Back Wednesday, I reviewed an engineer knife made by Camillus, and that was sent to me by Big J. Thanks again, Big J, for entrusting me with that knife and sending it to me to review. But I believe Warthog left a comment on that video saying, hey, he'd love to see some of the Boy Scout knives. And so there is a difference between a camp knife or scout knife and a Boy Scout knife. A Boy Scout knife is typically a camp or a scout style knife, but it's a Boy Scout knife because it's been officially licensed by the Boy Scouts. So that's the difference there. This is not an in-depth video on any of these knives. This is my brother's collection. He has a pretty good collection and a good variety of different Boy Scout knives and a couple Cub Scout knives. And I've done individual videos, I believe by maker. I have a playlist of these Boy Scout knives. So if you're looking for an in-depth video review on these, why check out my playlist. I will leave a link to it in the end screen, so it's easy when you're done with this video. Just click on that playlist and you can check them out. So the great things about, these open tags, and I'd encourage other channels, these kinds of videos or these kinds of open tags are not necessarily meant for an in-depth review. It's a way to give some eye candy, to show some knives that you've shown before. Just get the knives out on the table and talk about them. And that's just what I'm going to do here for this Wednesday. Again, I've done individual or in-depth reviews, all of these, but I just thought you might like to see, when they're all laid out, look at all the different patterns and look at the different cover materials. Look at the different emblems that are used. You can see there. A lot of them are different shields on them. Different makers use different shields. We've got this knife here. And I remember when I did the video on this one, I believe Stuart Harvey thought this was like an unofficial Canadian Boy Scout knife. But I've not been able to trace it down. But it does say be prepared on there. So, yeah. 3-bladed. Well, that one don't want to come out very good. That one's a nail buster. But, yeah. So, again, my older brother has put together a pretty nice collection. He even got some of the more modern ones. Like this one here. And it's got your corkscrew, wood handle. You got a fork, cap lifter. Almost like a hobo knife there. And there's your blade. So, again, a more modern one. You have some with more modern style covers to them. This is something like you'd find on a Victorinox, this type of cover. And there's the imprint on it. Some of these, okay, here's a good one. And this is an Imperial. Now, a lot of them are worn, but a lot of them had printed on the blade, official knife, Boy Scouts of America. Of course, it gets wore off as the knife gets used. So, this one had the red cover. You got one here with the brown cover. Let's see, does it have the imprint? Yep, you can see it just barely if you get the right angle on it. What do we got here? You can't see anything on that one. This is an Ulster. And that's what I had. I bought my Ulster back in the early 70s. I still have it. But mine was more of like the Jig Delrin style, darker. And this is one with the white covers. And if I remember right, there might be a significance to the white covers a particular year. So you got this one here. You can see how that's kind of pressed in the mold when they made the cover instead of putting a metal shield in it. And this one is an Imperial also. And you can see some scout, some boy got a lot of use out of this one. Yeah. We can get into some of the older ones here. I believe this is one of the old Remingtons. Yeah, this is the one you can't really make out the tang stamp, but if I remember looking in the book, this is a Remington. And this one might actually be bone. But you can see the old style can opener on it. And you got the awl. And the awl is broke on this one. And that's what happens with a lot of these old knives. They've been used and abused. And look at that great big old cap lifter there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure based on this shield here that this is a Remington. And then you got some other unique ones, like this one here. That unique shield. Because it's a wooden handle. It's got a Phillips screwdriver on it. Pretty neat. So it fits right down in there. And this is an Imperial also. Yep. Again, well used. Look at that. That's good to see well-used knives, though. Somebody got a lot of enjoyment out of it. Yep. And what else did we have up here? I was going to point out. Well, here's a couple Cub Scout knives. It's got that bear on it. Is that the bear or is that the wolf? No, that's the wolf head. I'm sorry. It's the wolf head. Cub Scouts. And this is a Camillus. White covers. And the Cub Scout knives were 3-bladed knives. And the story I heard was they made them 3-bladed because Scouts were not, Cub Scouts weren't going out on overnight campouts and that, so they were just doing, you know, like a daytime activity, and they only needed the 3-bladed knife. They didn't need the can opener because they weren't out doing a lot of cooking and stuff like that. I don't know if that's true, but the Cub Scout knives that I have seen anyway, they are 3-bladed. And then here's one with the kind of the traditional dark blue of the Cub Scouts. And that's a Camillus. And you can see the USA is across the bottom there. And you can just barely see it. But there it is, official Cub Scout knife. What else do we got in here? Oh, look at this. Now, I think this is a Whittler, even though it doesn't have like a split back spring or anything. It almost looks like a Stockman. It's got this really nice long clip blade and that very long nail pull there. But it has that blade there. That is a coping blade. I knew it would come to me sooner or later. So typically a Whittler has a coping blade to it. And then it looks like, and it's probably been used and sharpened off, looks like another smaller clip point there. I believe this, I know that he had Whittlers in here, and I believe this is the Whittler pattern. And the other thing that kind of gives it away is, it's almost like the Coke bottle there. It's got the swell on the top and bottom there in the middle. So I believe that's the Whittler. Let me see, do I have anything else of interest? He's got some of these, and this is a fork, and there's one like this that's a knife, I believe. Oh, another fork. And then here's one that's a knife. And I believe somebody told me these came in a mess kit. So they weren't sold as knives, but they were part of a mess kit. So this is from Imperial. Now today, Buck still has some officially licensed Boy Scout knives. Victorinox has some officially licensed Boy Scout knives. So there are just all kinds of different patterns of Boy Scout knives other than the traditional camp or the traditional pattern Scout knife. Even though this is what we think of as a Scout knife or a Boy Scout knife, these are all officially licensed products from the Boy Scouts of America. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little bit of eye candy here. I enjoyed breaking them out. Don't tell my brother or remind him that I still have his collection, because one of these days he's going to want it back. And I hate to give it back to him, but of course I will. But I'm very blessed that he loaned it to me and has let me study these knives. You can always learn a lot about these old knives. You learn about the past. You can understand the future sometimes and why things are done. So again, as this video closes out, you'll see the link to the playlist there. There's also a subscribe button. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Oh, and I want to say, check out Knife Chats with Tobias. He has lots of wonderful videos on Boy Scout knives. I call him the professor. He just seems to have so much knowledge on all of these types of knives. So he's got videos on Boy Scout knives, Cub Scout knives, and even Girl Scout knives. So again, check out Knife Chats with Tobias also. So until next time, I hope you've enjoyed this Way Back Wednesday, and go out and have a very delightful day.